Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in the last session, we have completed law of conservation of mass, law of definite proportion, law of multiple proportions, right? So whenever if you consider formation of a compound, yes, when two or more elements combined in a fixed ratio, they used to give compound. So this combination of elements can be governed by law of chemical combinations, right? So how many laws I have considered? Five laws. First one I said law of conservation of mass. Second we considered law of definite proportions, and third one law of multiple proportions. Now we are looking for the continuous part, that is the next law. It is the Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes. So what is the law? Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes. Well, so this next law also suggests about chemical combination itself. So first thing, why we are saying gaseous volumes in the sense, say this law is applicable for what? It applicable for only gases. So please remember, whenever if you come across Gay-Lussac's law, then keep it in mind. The Gay-Lussac's law is for what? This law is applicable for what? Is applicable for gaseous species. If reactants and products involved in a reactions are gaseous species, then the Gay-Lussac's law is applicable, otherwise not. Okay, well, now according to this law, so what the law says, so whenever gases combine, means say during a chemical reaction, what is the possibility? There may be a gaseous reactants. Okay, there may exist there may be a gaseous reactants, which means whenever gaseous reactants combine, say, is the one possibility. And second one, what we are saying, whenever when a gases combine are produced in the sense, what is the possibility? There may be a gaseous product. So products will be produced, reactants are going to combine during a chemical reaction. So we say when gases combine are produced in a chemical reaction. So we have two possibility here. In a chemical reaction, a gaseous reactants may exist or gaseous product may be formed. So whenever those gases combine are produced in a chemical reaction, how they combine or how they produce it means they do so in a simple ratio by volume. So how they are combined? They combine in a simple ratio by volume. Or how they produced means, yes, they produced in a simple ratio by volume, provided, yes, what is the condition? Provided all gases are at a same temperature and pressure. So is the condition, that's it. So what the law says, when gases combine or produced in a chemical reaction, they do so in a simple ratio by volume. Okay, how they are combined or produced means they combined or produced in a simple ratio by volume, provided all gases are at same temperature and pressure. Well, so this law was proposed by Gay-Lussac, hence called Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes. Okay, well, so if I consider, say as for the statement, if I consider 100 ml of hydrogen, so 100 ml of hydrogen, okay, combines with 50 ml of oxygen, 50 ml of oxygen gives 100 ml of water vapors. Okay, 100 ml of a water vapors. Well, here hydrogen, we know hydrogen plus oxygen gives rise to water is a simple way of understanding the reaction. So hydrogen when combines with oxygen gives rise to water. So water vapors we are saying here. So hydrogen gas, okay, hydrogen gas, oxygen is also gas. What they said, water vapor, they are specifying water vapor, which means water vapor is also what, is also gaseous state of a matter, right? Well, say we are specifying 100 ml, 100 ml of, okay, hydrogen combines with 50 ml of 50 ml of oxygen gives 100 ml of water. Well, here it can be better understood with a reaction equation. Say H2, hydrogen gas means it's a molecule, right? H2, one volume of hydrogen. So plus H2. So what it is? One more volume of hydrogen plus O2. Say one volume of oxygen. See here, to balance the equation, how many volume of hydrogen are involving in a reaction? Two volume of hydrogen. Two volume of hydrogen which combines with what? One volume of a oxygen to give two volumes of a water vapors. Which means I can say here 2H2 2H2 plus O2 gives rise to 2H2O. Yes or no? So 2 2 is to 1 is to 2 is the ratio. So hydrogen gas, oxygen gas, water vapors, which means here two volumes of hydrogen combines with what? One volume of a oxygen, which means what is the ratio here? How they are combining? In the ratio of 2 is to 1. Okay, it's a simple whole number ratio. Yes, water produced here. Water produced, how many volume produced? Two volume of water produced. In the sense, what I can say? So again, is also comes with a whole number ratio. Okay, so overall what it is? 2 is to 1 is to 2 is the ratio. So we say the volume of hydrogen and oxygen which combines together, that is 100 ml and 50 ml. Here what is the ratio? A simple ratio of 2 is to 1. Means here gaseous reactants, they combine in a simple whole number ratio. A product formed that produced also in the form of a simple whole number ratio. Okay, say 2H2 plus O2 gives rise to 2H2O. So two volume of hydrogen combines with one volume of oxygen gives two volume of water. Okay, well, now it is regarding what laws of chemical combination. So please go through the statement of all the laws and at least one example for each. It is very necessary to understand, right? Well, now coming to the one more concept of the chapter, that is Dalton's atomic theory. Okay, Dalton's atomic theory. Well, we know that all atoms, okay, all atoms are going to contain subatomic particles, right? All atoms contains subatomic particles. And even I said, what are those subatomic particles? Are again fundamental particles, protons, okay, electrons, and neutrons. So these are the main three fundamental particles. So here, whenever if I consider atoms, yes, we know that atom is made up of even smaller particles, subatomic particles. Well, at the time of Dalton in the around 1803, okay, around 1803, Dalton proposed a theory called atomic theory, just to, okay, based on the various studies, classification of a matter, based on it, Dalton proposed a theory called Dalton's atomic theory. So yes, what that theory suggests? According to Dalton's atomic theory, matter consists of indivisible particles called atoms. So what is the first postulate here? Each and every matter consists of a smallest indivisible particles called atoms is the first postulate. Okay, well, the next one, all atoms of a given element, okay, all atoms of a given element have identical physical and chemical properties. So according to Dalton theory, what it says, all atoms of a given element have identical physical and chemical properties. As we know that elements, whenever if I consider the classification of matter, I said, so the elements consist of identical atoms with identical properties. They are become across while dealing with classification. So same here, same point is taken as a postulates. So all atoms of a given element have identical physical and chemical properties. Say hydrogen, if I consider hydrogen element, okay, hydrogen element is made up of what? Is made up of hydrogen atoms. So here atoms of an element, okay, all atoms of an element, they are going to have identical physical as well as chemical properties. If I consider carbon element, okay, carbon element, so carbon element is made up of what? Is made up of carbon atoms. Okay, so all these carbon atoms are going to have identical physical and chemical properties. Okay, now what is the next sentence? So atoms of a different element differ in their property. If I compare atoms of a carbon with atoms of hydrogen, whether they are alike? No, they are different from one another. So atoms of a given element are identical physical and chemical properties, but atoms of a different element differ in their properties. Okay, is the second postulates of the theory. So first postulate, what it is? A matter consists of indivisible particles. So what Dalton suggested, atoms are indivisible in nature. So later it becomes the limitation of the theory. Okay, well, so the first postulates, matter consists of indivisible particles called atoms. Then the second postulate, all atoms of a given element have identical physical and chemical properties. Okay, the atoms of a different element differ in their properties. Well, the next one, compounds after formed. Okay, compounds are formed when atoms of a different element combine. Okay, compounds are formed when atoms of a different element combine in a simple whole number ratios. So what we said about compounds is when elements combine, that is atoms of an element combined in a fixed ratio by mass, resultant will be compounds. So is the state one of the postulate of a theory. So what it says, compounds are formed when atoms of a different element combine in a simple whole number ratio. So is the third postulate. Okay. Well, next what it says, a chemical reaction involves. So if I consider any chemical reaction, yes, a chemical reaction involves reorganization of atoms. So what are the chemical reaction? So if I consider any chemical reaction, yes, it involves reorganization of atoms, which means here atoms are neither created nor destroyed. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, atoms are neither created, atom create ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ and destroy ಕೂಡ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. So atoms are neither created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. But what happened? In a chemical reaction, just those atoms will be reorganized. Reorganized. Okay. So for example, generally say XY plus AB. Say X one element is one compound is the another compound. Say XY AB. Say AX plus BY product. So it is a chemical reaction. Okay, it's a kind of chemical reaction. Say here what happened, say XY, they exist together in reactant form. AB exists together as a one compound, as a reactant. So once product formed, say A is with X and Y is with the, okay, B, which means AX BY. So what happened here, atoms get reorganized, that's it. Okay, well, so in a chemical reaction, the chemical reaction involves reorganization of atoms. So it means here atoms neither created nor destroyed during a chemical reaction. So is the next postulate. Okay, well, so please keep it in mind that Dalton's atomic theory suggests is what is the basis for Dalton's atomic theory means that chemical classification is the basis for Dalton's atomic theory. And yes, that Dalton atomic theory has a limitation. What is the limitation means? As I already mentioned, the theory said that atoms are indivisible. What is the first postulate itself? All matter consists of the smallest indivisible particles called atoms. So according to Dalton's theory, atoms are non-divisible in nature. But practically what? Practically atoms can be divided into subatomic particles. So it is a limitation. Okay, please remember it. And further, even if I consider structural aspect of an atom, so Dalton's theory do not predict any structural aspect of a atoms. Well, okay. Now coming to the atomic weight or atomic mass, the next concept. So first we have discussed about Gay-Lussac's law in this session. Second, we have discussed about Dalton's atomic theory. Now we are looking for one more concept, that is atomic weight or atomic mass. Well, here this present atomic weight, okay, or atomic mass system, which is based on what? Which is based on the carbon 12 isotope. Earlier is related with hydrogen isotope, proton 1h1. Later, the standard one referred is carbon 12 isotope. Yes, atomic weight or atomic mass. So it can be, okay, expressed in terms of AMU. Okay, ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು AMU ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, that is atomic mass unit. That atomic mass or atomic weight which is expressed in terms of what? Which is expressed in terms of atomic mass unit. What it is? So one AMU, that is one atomic mass unit, is equal to, it is the number of times, okay, number of times one atom of the element, one atom of an element is heavier than 1/12 mass of one atom of carbon 12 isotope. So what that AMU says? It is the number of times one atom of an element heavier than 1/12 mass of one atom of a carbon 12 isotope is called AMU. So mathematically, say, as I said, AMU, that is atomic mass unit, and that mathematically if I consider the value, one AMU is equal to how much? One AMU is equal to 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 24 gram. Okay, what is this AMU? It is the mass of, okay, 1/12 mass of one atom of a carbon 12 isotope. It is the AMU. What this value, how we are getting this value means, it is the, what I said here, 1/12 mass of one atom of a carbon 12 isotope is the value for AMU. So what that AMU suggests? It gives the number of times one atom of an element heavier than AMU. Okay. Well, say for example, say, before going for that, this late nowadays what we are saying, this AMU, atomic mass unit, which is replaced by U. This U is refers to unified mass, and now this AMU is not also in under practice, and U is also not under practice. What we are using, simply we are expressing in terms of gram. Okay. Well, now if I consider an example here, say the hydrogen, one atom of hydrogen is 1.008 times heavier than AMU. Okay, on comparison, if I consider weight of one atom of hydrogen with what? With the AMU. We know what is AMU. AMU is the 1/12 mass of one atom of a carbon 12 isotope. On comparison, what we are saying, the one atom of hydrogen is how many times? 1.008 times heavier than AMU, which means this 1.008 gram itself becomes the weight of a hydrogen. So mass of hydrogen, or against atomic weight of hydrogen, will be 1.008. Okay, AMU ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, AMU or less 1.008 U ಅಂತಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, unified mass. Okay, well, as like you can consider whatever the next elements, say carbon, next say helium. For helium, what we are saying, say 4 U, or you can say 4 AMU, 4 atomic mass unit, which means what? This 4 AMU is nothing but the one mass of one atom of helium is 4 times heavier than AMU. Okay, say boron. Boron say 10 AMU. For boron element, 10 AMU is the atomic mass or atomic weight. This 10 AMU, what the 10 AMU suggests? It suggests that boron, one atom of boron isotope is 10 times heavier than AMU as like. Okay, well, now we know about concept of isotopes, right? So isotopes are nothing but they are the atoms. Isotopes are nothing but they are the atoms of a same element, right? Atoms of a same element, having same atomic number, but what? But a different mass number. Yes or no? So we know about concept of isotope. What isotope suggests? Isotopes are nothing but they are the atoms of a same element with the same atomic number but a different mass number. Well, so in such case, when we have a different mass numbers, while expressing element, we are going to end up with a difficulty. Which mass to be taken to express the element? So whenever we are going to represent an element, say X is a symbol of an element, at the lower subscript, we are going to write the atomic number, and at superscript, we are going to write a mass number. Say atomic number, no problem. Yes, we can write. Symbol also we can write. But what about mass number? Say when element shows isotopic forms. Okay, if element exists as isotopic form, then there arises a question which mass to be taken while representing an element. That difficulty can be resolved by introducing a concept called average atomic mass. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇನು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೂರು ಮಾಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೇ ಸಮ್ ಒನ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್, so carbon itself I will consider 6 carbon 12, carbon 13, carbon 14. So these are the three isotopes of a carbon, right? Say while representing carbon element in a periodic table, okay, I want to represent a carbon element. Say I will write the symbol carbon, atomic number I will write 6. Which mass I have to take? Whether I have to take 12 or 13 or 14, we have a question, right? So such type of difficulty can be resolved with the help of a concept called average atomic mass. Okay, well, yes, what it is average atomic mass? So the average atomic mass, yes, the name itself says the average of all the masses of an isotopes of an element. So yes, average atomic mass is nothing but the average of the masses of isotopes of an element is the average atomic mass. What we are taking? We are going to take the average of masses of isotopes of an element. Okay. Well, this average atomic mass, which is equal to, how we are going to calculate, means the summation of isotopic mass into percentage relative abundance divided by 100. So average atomic mass formula, so it is very important, please remember it. So average atomic mass is equal to summation of isotopic mass into percentage of abundance, okay, percentage relative abundance divided by 100. Well, uh, we go for an example so that it can be understood better. So consider isotopes relative abundance and their atomic masses in terms of AMU. So carbon 12 relative abundance is how much? 98.892% and atomic mass is 12. So carbon 13, the one more isotope of carbon, say relative abundance 1.108% and its atomic mass is 13.00335. Okay, well, next one carbon 14. So carbon has three isotopes and the relative abundance of carbon 14 will be least, 2 into 10 raised to minus 10%, and its atomic mass will be 14.00317. These are the exact values of atomic masses. Say for carbon, there will be three isotopes. Most abundant isotope of carbon will be carbon 12. Okay, the least abundant carbon isotope will be carbon 14. Okay, well, from the above data, how we can calculate the average atomic mass means, is as per the formula, we have to add we have to add relative abundance with the isotopic mass. Say first isotope carbon 12 98.92 into 12 plus 1.108 into 13.0033 plus 2 into 10 raised to minus 10 into 14.00317 whole divided by, okay, whole divided by 100. So if you simplify it, what is the answer we get? We get 12.011 U unified mass, which means how we are going to calculate? So isotopic mass, summation of isotopic mass into relative abundance or percentage of abundance whole divided by 100. So please remember this average atomic mass. Okay, this formula is very important. So if you know the relative abundance and respective, okay, atomic masses, we can calculate the average atomic mass. Well, so with this I'm going to conclude about this session. Again, in the next session we go for other concept of the chapter. Okay, thank you, be safe.